Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. And Senator Sherrod Brown, brown.senate.gov is his website, is on the line with us. And Senator Brown, welcome back to the program.
Good to be back. Thanks.
It's great to have you with us. I just have to share this very short anecdote with you, and I hope it's okay. It's about electoral politics. Ellen Ratner shares offices with us, the Talk Radio News Service, and she just came in a few minutes ago and said to say hi to you and that she is rooting for you to beat her crazy cousin.
Okay.
So.
Good words. Ellen loves her family, but my opponent is basically a Tea Party guy. He married into Ellen's family, and Ellen is. I appreciate her publicly rooting for me. I know she does, and I appreciate that. Ellen stands for the right brand of politics to move this country forward. It's made us a success. So.
Yeah, Ellen is a good, solid progressive. So you are working on how to get more jobs to Ohio. And not just Ohio, the whole nation, but of course you're from Ohio. That's kind of the epicenter, I would imagine, in your mind.
Of course. Yeah, and we're seeing, it's little things and big things. It's a transportation bill which will keep this recovery going. It started really, the turnaround started in many ways with the auto rescue. We know that to get out of recession, you need to grow manufacturing. That's always done that in our country. The auto rescue made a huge difference in my state, but across the country, we've seen manufacturing job growth for most of the last. For 12 years, we lost manufacturing jobs from 97 to 09. The last 2 years, almost every month, we've seen manufacturing job growth. And so we passed a transportation bill. We also, in that bill, we had an amendment I offered on Buy America. So if you're using steel in a bridge paid for by U.S. taxpayers, it better be American steel. Every other country does that almost except for us, and it's time we do that. It's time we stand up for our workers and our companies.
Franklin Roosevelt passed that law in 1935, and it was Reagan who started looking for let's find some loopholes in this thing. And it's just gone nuts ever since then. So I so salute your efforts to revalidate that.
It's amazing how many senators, mostly Republicans, but in both parties, who think that Buy America might not be a good thing, that it might start a trade war. Well, there's been a trade war in this world, and China's winning it. And China, in many ways, as most countries, they practice trade according to their national interest, and we practice trade according to some out of print 20-year-old college economics textbook.
Yeah, that was written by Milton Friedman.
Yeah, it was written by Milton Friedman
by a crackpot.
And all his acolytes. Good point. Well said.
Yeah, it really is. It's Chicago School of Economics. We've had this experiment for 30 years. It's called Reaganomics, and it's destroyed our country.
Yeah.
And
I was talking to two guys today that came to see me who want to be nominated, who have been nominated to serve in the Federal Reserve, one Republican, one Democrat, to be what are called governors in the Federal Reserve. And my committee, the banking committee, confirms them or not, and at least has the hearings. And we were talking about 30 years ago, 27% of our GDP was manufacturing, and about 10% was financial services. Today, it's almost the reverse. About 25% financial services, not quite, and about 10% making things. And no wonder the middle class has been hurt in this country. It's the ticket to the middle class for many Americans, high school graduates, community college graduates often, are people that make things, and there just aren't enough of those jobs to make things. And banking can help us move forward, but when so much of it is Wall Street and derivatives, it creates wealth for a very small number of people passing money back and forth, but leaves out a broad middle class. And that's what's distressing about the policy. The government picked winners and losers 30 years ago. They picked financial services, and it's wrong, and we've got to turn that around.
Nancy Pelosi, when she was Speaker of the House, succeeded in getting legislation through the House of Representatives and handed it off to the Senate that would have ended tax deductions for companies that were tearing apart factories. We've lost 60,000 factories since George Bush became president. That would have ended the tax deduction, government subsidy for companies that are tearing apart factories in America and rebuilding them overseas, and would have given a tax subsidy or a benefit to companies who tear down their factories overseas and bring them back here. The Republicans in the United States Senate filibustered that and refused to allow it to become law. How is it that the average American doesn't know that? And how can we get that to the front of the discussion again?
Well, I think the average American doesn't know it because Democrats don't want to talk about it enough. I mean, Democrats are always afraid. I mean, Bernie Sanders isn't on your show, and Sheldon Whitehouse, and a lot of my colleagues aren't afraid, but a number of them in both parties are really afraid of standing up, thinking it's jingoism or thinking it's going to start a trade war or whatever. But when a company in Springfield, Ohio, or Mansfield, Ohio, or Youngstown can shut down, move its production to China, deduct the cost of the move, then sell products back, made in China, sell them back to our market. It's bad for the environment, first of all, in a lot of levels, and second, it makes no economic sense in the big picture. But we have built a political system where lobbyists have had such influence to give incentives to do that rather than giving incentives to stay here and produce here, and it really has been a 30-year betrayal of the middle class and of working families and poor families that want a chance to get ahead. And that's what's so disturbing about what our government's done in the last quarter century.
Yeah, and not only that, they get a tax deduction for the cost of transportation to bring those goods back to the United States after they're manufactured.
Yeah,
I mean, it is, and plus, if they're made over offshore, they can keep their profits offshore. They can create an offshore division, stick the money in the Cayman Islands, never pay U.S. taxes on it. So there's $1 trillion floating around out there, something like that.
It's going to be interesting. Exactly, it's going to be interesting to watch Mitt Romney try to build a public case on why it's in America's national interest that a candidate for president can move his money to offshore and for any reason that makes sense for the American public. I mean, you're exactly right. Every time every few years, companies come to Congress and say, if we repatriate our profits, if we bring our profits back from overseas, we won't do that unless you give us a big tax cut on these profits. So if Congress does it, which there is some pressure to do, then it just gives them incentives to again, manufacture overseas, build up the reserves, come to Congress a decade from now or 5 years from now and say, let's do it again.
You're absolutely right.
That's what they did this several years ago, and everybody said, well, this will get them back to invest here, and they didn't invest here. They did stock buybacks. They gave it to executives. They didn't invest in communities.
Senator Brown, we're out of time, but Senator...